module 4 of the EDP program, which is one of the topics of finance and accounting. That what is accounting, what are the basics of accounting, and why do we need to study accounting. So one thing I wanted to share with you all, that whenever anybody asks you what is the definition of accounting, then you have to be very clear that whether he wants to know the definition or the meaning of accounting. Because once you use the word, अगर आप definition use करते हैं तो it will be given to you by any organization और एनी इंडिविजुअल, देन व्हाट हैपन्स कि आप उस डेफिनेशन में से एक भी वर्ड चेंज नहीं कर सकते. जो भी किसी ने आपको दिया है ये डेफिनेशन, उनका नाम कोट करके, और हमेशा डेफिनेशन यू विल हैव टू मेंशन इन कोटेशन मार्क्स. ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी, अगर आप लिखेंगे कि आई एम टेलिंग यू द मीनिंग ऑफ अकाउंटिंग, तो मीनिंग ऑफ अकाउंटिंग में ये एडवांटेज है कि जो साइंटिफिक वर्ड्स आपके डेफिनेशन में दिए हुए हैं उसको आप चेंज कर सकते हैं, उसको आप अपने वर्ड्स में एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं. एज व्हाट अंडरस्टैंडिंग यू हैव, यू कैन पुट इट फॉरवर्ड. So I'll just share with you my interpretation of accounting, that accounting क्या होती है. accounting में सबसे पहले क्या होता है, रिकॉर्डिंग. it is basically जो भी आपके transactions हो रहे हैं वो उनका सबसे पहले होता है रिकॉर्डिंग. फिर उसको आप क्लासीफाई करते हैं. आफ्टर क्लासीफाइंग यू समराइज इट. समराइजिंग दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इज फर्दर analyzed and interpreted, and finally they are communicated to the users of accounting information. One important thing that I would like to mention here when you are understanding the first or the basics of accounting is that all the transactions जो आपने रिकॉर्ड किए हैं और जिसको आप फाइनली इंटरप्रेट और एनालाइज कर रहे हैं, दे शुड इन अ वे बी ऑफ अ फाइनेंशियल कैरेक्टर. फाइनेंशियल और मॉनिटरी कैरेक्टर मीन्स दैट दे शुड बी एबल टू बी मेजर्ड इन मनी. जस्ट जो भी ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ है उसको आप मॉनिटरी वैल्यू या पैसे में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. जैसे कि मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ कि आपके यहाँ पे गेस्ट आए, हो सकता है किसी कंपनी से विजिट हुआ हो, तो आपने 20 लोगों के लिए चाय मंगवाई. एक चाय की जो आपकी कप थी वो 5 रुपए की थी, तो आपके कितने खर्चा हो गए, आपके 100 रुपये खर्चा हो गए. ठीक है, तो इसको आप अगर रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं तो आप इसको डे बुक में एज अ खर्चा ऑफ द कंपनी, ये एक्सपेंसेस हुए हैं, इसको आप रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं. कितना, 100 रुपये जो हुए हैं. ठीक है, तो दिस इज़ अ फेयर एंड इम्पॉर्टेंट, आप इसको रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं क्योंकि दिस इज़ इन द मॉनिटरी वैल्यू और इन द कैश वैल्यू, आपको पता है. बट ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी, सपोज दैट आज एक एम्प्लॉय का, suppose he has had some problems at home and he is unable to discharge his duties as well as he did it yesterday. Maybe उसने कल बहुत काम किया, maybe आज उसने बहुत कम काम किया. तो ये आप ट्रांजैक्शन अकाउंट्स में नहीं रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि इसको मॉनिटरी वैल्यू देना बहुत ही मुश्किल है, क्योंकि दिस इज़ अ वेरी वेग, और यू कैन से इट इज़ बेसिकली एन एक्सप्रेशन, or you can say it's an abstract emotion. So all these recording these abstract emotions is very difficult, and these transactions cannot be recorded. Although आप कह सकते हैं कि इसका भी एक बहुत ही important role होता है एक organization में, बट वी हैव टू स्टिक टू आवर डेफिनेशन में जो दिया हुआ है, मीनिंग में जो दिया हुआ है कि अकाउंटिंग में सिर्फ वो ही ट्रांजैक्शंस आप रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं जिनका कोई फाइनेंशियल कैरेक्टर हो, या जिस व्हाट दोज ट्रांजैक्शंस विच कैन बी मेजर्ड इन द टर्म्स ऑफ मनी. ओके, so when I gave you the meaning or the definition of accounting, so I told you that it has to be interpreted, right? Like interpret कर लिया आपने, and then you're communicating it to whom? So that is important. You need to know that if you are creating this interpreted and analyzed balance sheet, तो आप present किसको कर रहे हैं? तो you have to present it to the users of accounting information. वो यूज़र्स कौन होते हैं? सबसे पहले मैं आपको बताती हूँ कि यूज़र्स में सबसे पहले आता है एम्प्लॉयज़ भी यूज़ करते हैं. भाई दे वांट टू सी कि भाई जिस जहाँ पे हम काम कर रहे हैं, जो हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, व्हाट मनी इज़ इट मेकिंग, व्हाट इज़ द फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन ऑफ दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दैट हैज़ टू बी केप्ट इन माइंड. सो द फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट वी कैन से इज़ द एम्प्लॉय हिमसेल्फ. देन कम्स द मैनेजमेंट. Apart from that, I discussed it in one of the earlier sessions of the module that your not only the shareholders are important but also the entire stakeholders में आपके even government comes, the tax authorities comes, your even your own management, the company's management also becomes a stakeholder in your organization. So even the end users of accounting information can be the management, the employees, the owners, the shareholders, all right, the income tax department, the government, the suppliers that you have, your customers, your suppliers, your trading partners, they are all the users of your accounting information. Then there are various like you can say economic planners, various consumer groups who might be interested in your organization, so they also form a part of users of your accounting information. Alright, so another work that we can say कि क्यों हम accounting करते हैं, क्यों हम record keeping करते हैं, क्या ज़रूरत है इसकी, तो we can say कि few applications I'll just discuss with you. The first application is to evaluate the operations of the firm to make investment decision. Like obviously that जब आपको interpret होके आपको balance sheet मिली है तो आपके further क्या actions होंगे, they have to be based on those data that is being provided for you, and also to evaluate them कि क्या आप सही काम कर रहे हो, कहीं कोई वेरिएंस तो नहीं है, कि जो भी आपने अपने स्टैंडर्ड सेट किए थे या जो भी आपको मिशंस थे आपके इस फाइनेंशियल ईयर में, कि क्या आप अपने टारगेट अचीव कर पा रहे हैं, आर यू एबल टू हिट द प्रॉफिट मार्क. क्योंकि सी एट द एंड ऑफ द डे व्हेन वी हैव सेट अ सर्टन विजन और सर्टन टारगेट फॉर द कंपनी, तो हम क्या चाहते हैं कि हम उसको सरपास करें. तो सरपास कर रहे हैं या वी हैव बीन नॉट बीन एबल टू अचीव इट और वेदर वी हैव हिट द टारगेट, ये आपको कहाँ से पता चलेगा, आपके बैलेंस शीट से, कि जो आपने जो अपना फोरकास्टिंग कर रखी थी कि इस साल में हमें इतना प्रॉफिट कमाना है या हमें यहाँ पे इन्वेस्ट करना है, वी हैव टू डाइवर्सिफाई इनटू दिस फील्ड एंड वेदर वी हैव बीन एबल टू अचीव आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बेसिकली, तो वो आपको इसी अकाउंटिंग से ही पता चलेगा. एंड देन दैट विल हेल्प यू, जब आपके पास पूरा डेटा होगा, पूरा आपके पास जो समरी बनी हुई है आपके एक्टिविटीज़ की मिल जाएंगी, तो आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट करने में आसानी होगी. Because obviously when you are dealing with a lot of money for investment, so the data on which it is based should be strong, and the investment decisions then only they will be concrete. Next, which one thing that can be used for is to plan and to control. Plan, what do you need to plan? That this activity that I am going to conduct, what effect it is going to have, and also it helps in controlling those activities. That if I have taken up this particular activity for today, then have I been able to achieve my target or not? So this is another method of controlling the activities, and in case you are unable to achieve the targets or whatever net profit और लॉस आपने सोचा था कि इतना प्रॉफिट हमें कमाना है, और जब आप बैलेंस शीट देख रहे हैं तो इतना नहीं बन पा रहा है, तो आपको यू हैव टू गो बैक इन योर प्लानिंग एंड यू हैव टू सी कि क्यों हमारे टारगेट अचीव नहीं हो पा रहा है या क्यों इतना गैप आ रहा है, एंड देन आपको नेसेसरी एक्शन लेना पड़ेगा कि ये जो गैप है वो ब्रिज हो जाए, और आप ना ही सिर्फ अपने टारगेट को अचीव करें, बट यू गो बियॉन्ड दैट टारगेट, यू डू much better than those targets. Then it is also useful in achieving your credit ratings. As you know that when you have to issue your prospectus or you have to go in for IPO, initial public offering, or even when you have to deal in the stock market, तो क्या होता है, जो investors होते हैं वो आपकी credit rating देखते हैं. Like there are various credit rating agencies. I think CRISIL is there, CARE is there, so they give you ratings. It may be A plus or A plus plus. So the better the rating you have, the better you have the chances that other people would want to invest in your business, or they want to become, not only they want to be stakeholders, but they want to slowly convert into shareholders. And also that for appeasing your tax authorities, if you have a detailed record of all your activities, all the transactions that are taking place, then it is also very easy for your authorities to go on to it. and to see that whatever tax you have paid, whether actually those amount of profit is there, or there are also certain exemptions which are granted कि अगर आप suppose you are working in some area for development which is helping, you know, some infrastructural project you have undertaken which is actually developing your country, then even certain and quite an extent exemptions are also granted by the government in this area. So like we discussed earlier that accounting क्या है? Accounting is your collecting the information, then recording it, summarizing it, and then finally communicating that the data which you have analyzed and interpreted, that data has to be communicated to the various users. And what happens once you share that information with the users, it helps them for further decision making, whether they want to whether they want to diversify into a certain area, or they want to go into divestment, they want to sell off, spin off certain areas which are not doing that well and which are actually harming the entire process. Or one one enterprise is doing very well, one segment is doing very well, and one segment is making loss. So at the end of the day, what is happening? Your revenue is being nullified by one income and one loss which is being generated. So what if this data is provided to the users? So what will they do? They'll make a decision, okay, let us work on this loss making segment that we have. ये जो loss making segment है, इसको हम हटाने की कोशिश करेंगे. हम देखेंगे कि किस कारण से लॉस हो रहा है, क्यों ये हमारे जो ग्रोइंग सेक्टर है या जो रेवेन्यू मेकिंग सेक्टर है उस पर हार्मफुल इम्पैक्ट तो नहीं कर रहा. सो दीज डिसीजंस हैव टू बी टेकन बाय द यूजर्स इन टाइम. And how can they take them? Only when the data is provided to them from the accounting department. Like I told you before that the definition of accounting is very important. So I'll just share with you one from the American Accounting Association. I think it is the foremost definition on which all the other definitions can find its base, and that is that accounting is the process of identifying, measuring and communicating economic information to permit informed judgments and decisions by the users of the information. Okay, let's move on. And the definition has actually brought to light there are a few characteristics of accounting which are really interesting and which help you in knowing that breaking down the definition is very important. Like you should know that each and every scientific word or each and every term which is used in it, what it actually means. So the first term which is being used is identification of the financial transactions and events. Alright, so you have to identify these transactions, that whatever transactions are happening on a everyday basis, daily basis, yeah, whatever events are being occurring in the enterprise, they have to be identified. So this is the meaning of the first term that is used in the definition. Then once you identify those transactions have to be measured. So measuring the identified transactions is the second step. The third step that you have is सबसे पहले क्या था कि आपने identify कर लिए transactions तो और उसको measure कर लिया. उसके बाद आपको उसको क्या करना पड़ेगा? You have to record the transaction. Like I told you earlier also that recording किस में होती है? Recording will be in the journal or any original book of entry, like you can say like the cash book, the journal is there, then any day book, purchase book, sales book. So these are the original books of entry in which the the recording has to be made of the identified transactions. The fourth step that we have is classification. Like I told you, once a journal is made, it is quite elaborate and involves a number of pages. तो हम क्या करते हैं, हम सारी transactions को account wise compile कर लेते हैं एक account में, which is known as the posting to the ledgers. Next we have summarizing. In the trial balance, what do? We summarize the information, all the accounts, and we see whether they have got a debit balance or a credit balance, and accordingly the information is shared with the further accounting department, which works on it and works on what? Analyzing and interpreting the data. Analyzing it, in the income statement and the balance sheet, and then finally what happens, it communicates the result to the users of your accounting in how, in the form of a income statement and a balance sheet. And of course there are many few additions to it, like notes to accounts and various other annexures are attached to it. So these are the basic 7 characteristics which I discussed with you in this PPT. Next we move on is objectives. Like, see, whatever we work we do, or whatever, like you can say this is a discipline of accounting, like what do we study. So whenever we do anything, then needs to be an objective, that why we are doing it. So let us discuss the objectives of accounting. The first objective that we have is maintaining systematic records of financial transactions as events. All right. So before I start explaining to you the first objective that I have in mind, I would like to say that there is a very famous saying which says that a thing well begun is half done. कि अगर आपकी मतलब you have just well begun or done a very good starting of a work, then we can consider it कि आधा काम हो चुका है हमारा. तो इसका मतलब क्या है कि अगर आपके पास रिकॉर्ड्स है और दे आर नॉट सिस्टमैटिक, हैफर्ड मैनर में, कि आपने एक ही पेज में आज का भी कर दिया, अगले हफ्ते का भी कर दिया, या किसी कहीं और आपने रिकॉर्ड कर लिया, तो क्या होता है कि जब एट द एंड ऑफ द मंथ या एट द एंड ऑफ द वीक आप कंपाइल करने जाते हैं, तो इफ़ योर वर्क इज़ नॉट सिस्टमैटिक, तो यू आर एट लॉस. तो क्या होता है कि देयर मे बी लॉस ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट अकाउंटिंग इंफॉर्मेशन इफ द रिकॉर्ड्स आर नॉट मेंटेन्ड इन अ systematic manner. So when you properly follow the bookkeeping and accounting rules which you have been told, it helps in maintaining your accounts and records of a financial nature in a very systematic manner, which at the end of the day is helpful for the entire accounting department. Second objective of accounting is ascertaining of profit and loss. Like, of course, when an entrepreneur or anybody is starting a business or an enterprise or any activity as such, we do that with the objective of earning revenue or earning a profit. All right. So unless, like, I'm sure that you have heard of this word called factors of production. दो factors of production में एक जो ये होता है, entrepreneur is also there. Entrepreneur is one of the factors of production. So what happens? What does he earn? At the end of the day, he is working only for profit. Entrepreneur is one person that who has to bear the loss or the profit which has been incurred. तो उसको पता कैसे चलेगा, उसने साल भर काम किया, उसको पता कैसे चलेगा कि हमारा एक्चुअली मैंने पैसा कमाया या मेरे को लॉस हुआ. तो वो आपको अकाउंटिंग से ही, अकाउंटिंग डिपार्टमेंट में आप जाएंगे, आप बैलेंस शीट उठाएंगे, इमीडिएटली आपको दिख जाएगा नेट प्रॉफिट या नेट लॉस दैट यू हैव incurred in this session. ऑल राइट, इन दिस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड आपने प्रॉफिट कमाया है, आपने लॉस किया है, तो दैट विल बी easily available to you and you can view it in the accounting department. Next is ascertaining the financial position. Now see, there is a little bit of a difference in ascertaining profit and loss and ascertaining financial position. Financial position in a particular, like as I told you, that balance sheet as on this particular date, like 31st March 2012. तो उसमें financial position में आपको क्या क्या दिखेगा कि बैलेंस शीट में कितने assets हैं, assets में भी कितने current assets हैं, कितने fixed assets हैं, ऑल राइट, और कितना कैश है हमारे पास, कितना कैश इन हैंड है, कितना कैश एट बैंक है, क्या हमें कोई लिक्विडिटी क्रंच तो नहीं हो रही, क्या हमारा क्रेडिबिलिटी इज़ फाइन, क्या कहीं हम डेब्ट तो बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं इनकर कर रहे. ऑन द अदर साइड, जो आपका लाइबिलिटी साइड है, आप देखेंगे जितने भी फिक्स्ड या लॉन्ग टर्म लाइबिलिटीज़ हैं या वेरियस लॉन्ग टर्म लोन्स हैं, वो आपके लिए रहेंगे. ऑल राइट, एंड लोन्स के अलावा आपके करंट लाइबिलिटीज़ जो है, जैसे बिल्स पेएबल है या कोई आउटस्टैंडिंग एक्सपेंसेस कितने हैं. सो लाइक आई अर्लियर डिस्कस विथ यू कि बैलेंस शीट इज़ व्हाट, इट इज़ एक्चुअली अ स्नैपशॉट ऑफ योर फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन, कि आपकी आज की कंडीशन क्या है, कितने डेटर है, कितने रियलाइज हो गए, कितने क्रेडिटर है, कितने एक्सपेंसेस है, एवरीथिंग यू विल गेट टू नो अबाउट द फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ द कंसर्न विद द हेल्प ऑफ व्हाट, विद द हेल्प ऑफ अकाउंटिंग. The fourth that we have is assisting management. Like there is another saying which says कि knowledge is power. तो मैनेजमेंट अगर कोई भी डिसीजन ले रहा है फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, तो ऑन व्हाट बेसिस ही इज़ टेकिंग डिसीजन. जैसे अगर आपके छोटे भाई को, लेट अस टेक एन एग्जांपल, कि कहीं बहुत अच्छे कॉलेज में एडमिशन लेना है, तो वो कॉलेज कौन सा अच्छा है ये आपको कैसे पता चलेगा? इसके लिए आपको डेटा चाहिए होगा. डेटा मतलब उसके बच्चे जितने पास आउट हो रहे हैं उनका क्या प्लेसमेंट है, व्हाट आर दे डूइंग, हाउ आर दे डूइंग, आर दे इन सम गुड कंसर्न्स, क्या वो अच्छे पैकेजेस पे अपने बच्चों को प्लेस कर पा रहा है. तो आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट ओनली बेस्ड ऑन दैट डेटा ही तो आपको पता चलेगा देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन IIPM एंड IIM. इसी में तो आपको डिफरेंस पता चलेगा कि IIM में US से लोग उनको प्लेस कर रहे हैं और वहीं पे IIPM जो है आपका वो बंद होने की कगार पे, पीपल एंड चिल्ड्रन आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी प्लेसमेंट. सो सिमिलरली व्हेन योर मैनेजमेंट हैज़ टू मेक एनी डिसीजन, तो मैनेजमेंट को भी तो डेटा चाहिए, राइट? कि कौन सा डिपार्टमेंट आपका बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है, कहाँ पे ज़्यादा प्रॉफिट जनरेट हो रहा है, कौन से ऐसे डिसीजंस हैं जो आपको लॉस इनकर कर रहे हैं. तो वंस वी गेट टू नो, द मैनेजमेंट गेट्स टू नो कि ये सारी एक्टिविटीज़ हो रही हैं, तो व्हाट हैपेंस कि जो लॉस मेकिंग एक्टिविटीज़ को है उसको हम कर्टेल कर सकते हैं, उसको हम कम कर सकते हैं, उसको हम धीरे धीरे ऑब्लिविएट कर सकते हैं और अपना सारा ध्यान या एफर्ट्स उन डिपार्टमेंट्स और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में डाल सकते हैं विच आर एक्चुअली क्रिएटिंग अ प्रॉफिट फॉर अस. And the last one and the most important objective of accounting is communicating the accounting information to the users, because at the end of the day the users are the main important people जिसके लिए हम ये सारा अपार्ट फ्रॉम इंफॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग, डिसीजन मेकिंग, तो हमारा जो मेन एक्टिविटी होता है अकाउंटिंग में, इट इज़ कम्युनिकेटिंग द रिजल्ट्स टू द फाइनल यूजर्स ऑफ अकाउंटिंग. Next I'll take you to functions of accounting. Again, some objectives and functions are overlapping, so don't get this that the points are repetitive or the same points are coming in front, because see, kahin na kahin objective and functions are similar sounding words. So the functions which we have are basically maintaining systematic records, communicating the financial results which we have discussed earlier, then meeting legal requirements. So suppose that you have to go to a bank to take a loan, तो वो क्या कहते हैं आपको कि अपने पिछले 3 साल की ITR ले आइए और अपने बैलेंस शीट ले आइए पिछले 3 साल की. तो अगर आपने अकाउंटिंग डिपार्टमेंट को यूज़ ही नहीं किया और अगर आपने अकाउंटिंग डिपार्टमेंट ही नहीं क्रिएट किया जिसने आपका बैलेंस शीट ना बनाया हो, तो अभी सी यू वेंट फॉर अ लोन, तो यू विल बी डिनाइड इमीडिएटली, because what happens is that they want your financial condition, your financial information, not only of today but also of the previous 3 years. Why? So that your credibility can be established, whether once they grant you a loan, whether you will be in a condition to repay it or whether you will be unable to repay it, that will be decided in it. Next that we have is protecting the business assets. Once the assets are disclosed, then proper checks are established to make sure that there are no misappropriation of your assets, and we always tally it कि पिछले साल कितना था, इस साल कितना है. Even you can do this tallying on a quarterly or on a half yearly basis. That is also an option that is available to you. The advantages of accounting. Of course, if accounting department is being kept by every organization, then no wonder the advantages which it provides are innumerable. The first advantage which comes to my mind is the financial information about the business. Financial information about the business which is easily available to all the owners, the directors, employees, सबके पास financial information easily available रहती है about the business. अगर आप बैलेंस शीट ले लें या एनुअल रिपोर्ट होती है कंपनी की, तो उसमें आपके पास सारे डिटेल्स रहते हैं कंपनी के. ऑलराइट, तो बैलेंस शीट रहती है, उसमें इनकम स्टेटमेंट रहता है, तो वो आपको फैसिलिटेट करता है इन गेनिंग नॉलेज अबाउट द पर्टिकुलर बिजनेस. The second advantage which comes to my mind is, of course, that accounting information provides assistance to management. Like I said earlier, that the decisions which are taken by the management are on the basis of the particular data which is being provided by the accounting department. Third facility which the accounting department provides to us is that it replaces memory. Like, it is very possible in humans that today there was some transaction, tomorrow there are some another 100 transactions, day after it there are 50 transactions. So these 250 transactions which we have taken place in just a meager time of 3 days, it is very difficult to keep it in the memory. No matter how sharp your memory might be, it is very difficult to keep it completely memorized. So what happens is that when you have a computerized accounting available to you, or even manual accounting is available to you, in which you have noted down all the details, तो that stays, उसका जो memory value होता है या उसका जो recall value होता है, it is over a number of years. There's no issue. Whenever you need to find out some information, you go to the accounting department, you pull out the details, whether it is in a file and folder in your manual system or whether it is in the folder in your computerized system. So it is just a folder click away. Alright. Next is, it helps in comparative study. You'll basically, whenever you'll just open a balance sheet, you'll notice that if it is written that as on 2012, 31st March 2012, then 2 years are given. Okay, one previous year and one current year. So why is that previous year column available in it? So that we can match those the items, the amounts which are expressed in both the columns, and we can find out that whether from the last year we are in a better favorable condition or we are in a more deteriorating situation. So whatever the condition be, if the condition is not favorable, if it is adverse, then in those particular areas action needs to be done, because what we aim to do at the end of the day is do better than the previous year. And in case in any particular department there is an issue or things are not as per the record, then what do? We try to make better efforts, more efforts in that area. There are few more advantages which are provided to us, and they are also admissible as evidence in the courtroom. Whatever accounts you have which are obviously being attested by the auditors or the external auditors, they can be used as evidence in the courtroom, and they facilitate as evidence in the courtroom. Apart from that, it facilitates in the sale of business. Like, suppose your business is there and you want to sell it, then what happens? The amount, the evaluation of the value of your business is also done by the last balance sheet that was issued by that business. So you have the financial position in the balance sheet, and on that basis only the sale value of that particular business can be ascertained. Another example I gave you, like in if you want to take a loan from a bank, then obviously your income statement or your balance sheet is the one on the basis of which the banks grant loan. In the event of insolvency, of course, the court, like it was earlier, I told you that as an evidence it is acceptable in the court of law. So even in case of insolvency, your condition, like if you are consistently making a loss making enterprise, then that is also mentioned in your balance sheet. Helpful in partnership accounts also. Why? Because whenever there is any dispute among the partners, so immediately we can just call up the balance sheet and the income statement, which will help in dissolving your values and settling of the disputes in a partnership. As you know that nothing is perfect, like I discussed earlier also, that every coin has two sides. So although the advantages are many of accounting, but there are few limitations or disadvantages as well. The first is that the accounting is not exact. It is sometimes dependent on, you can say, the accountant's judgment or his bias. So we cannot say that whatever method has been used is absolutely correct, or there couldn't have been a better way of interpretation. So what happens, that accounting is a little abstract and it is not exact. Then another thing is that everything that we record in accounting is on your book value. Sometimes it because of our principle of conservatism, which says that we do not anticipate any future profit, we only anticipate the future losses. So even if the market value or the realizable value of an asset is higher, we always show it in the books of accounts at the book value, just following the principle of conservatism or prudence. Accounting also ignores the qualitative elements, like I told you earlier, that only those transactions are recorded in the books of accounts which have a financial character or can be recorded in monetary terms. Hence what is ignored is that of a qualitative element जो होता है, जो मैंने आपको एक एग्जाम्पल दिया था कि the worker is not in a good mood or having some issues, personal issues which is impacting his work, but we cannot record that because it is of a qualitative nature. So that is also harmful for our financial statements. Then again, like accounting ignores the effect of price level changes. There is no such facility in which we can incorporate that there are these changes. And also accounting may lead to window dressing. As we know that there is a very famous saying that cook the books. So window dressing is very prevalent these days in many entities, and the accountants who have a lot of specialized knowledge, they actually use that knowledge to cover up the faults that are there, and to show inflated assets, or they show minimum loss, so that their balance sheet actually projects a favorable view to the investors, and they get attracted to that particular balance sheet. Accounting process, as we have discussed in the previous module also, that it involves a few steps. It involves a few steps in which the first step involves the recording. Recording can be in the original book of entry, like a journal or a cash book, purchase book, sales book, plenty are there. Then those items which are recorded are, what are they done? They are classified by posting them to the ledgers. A summary is created, how? In the form of a trial balance, a trading and profit and loss account, and a balance sheet. And finally, those items are analyzed and interpreted and communicated to the persons who are in need, that is the users of the accounting information. कम्युनिकेशन इज़ मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट. लाइक आपने रिकॉर्ड किए ट्रांजैक्शंस, उनको क्लासीफाई करके आपने क्या किया, पोस्ट कर दिया लेजर में. लेजर से आपका ट्रायल बैलेंस बनता है. अगर ट्रायल बैलेंस के दोनों साइड, जिसमें इट इज़ अ कंपाइलेशन ऑफ ऑल द लेजर अकाउंट्स दैट यू हैव क्रिएटेड, उसमें अगर दोनों साइड जो डेबिट और क्रेडिट दोनों मैच हो गया, दैट मीन्स देयर इज़ अरिथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी. उससे फिर आपका क्या बनता है, ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट, कि आपने क्या परचेज किया, क्या सेल किया, आपका ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट कितना निकला. फिर आपका प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट बनता है. उसमें क्या होता है कि आपके कितने खर्चे थे, कितने इनकम थे, उसमें से आपका नेट प्रॉफिट या लॉस निकल आता है. एट द एंड ऑफ इट व्हाट डू यू प्रेजेंट, यू मेक अ बैलेंस शीट. बैलेंस शीट में क्या होता है, आपकी फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन क्या है एट दैट पर्टिकुलर डेट, एज ऑन that particular date is exhibited, that what are your assets, what are your liabilities, what are your fixed assets, what are your current assets, your long term liabilities, short term liabilities, current liabilities, what are the reserves that you have, whether you have any profit or loss. This entire thing is represented to you in the बैलेंस शीट. इसके बाद क्या होता है कि इसकी एनालिसिस और इंटरप्रिटेशन की जाती है, और फाइनली उसको आप किसको करते हो, आपको कम्युनिकेट करना होता है उसको यूज़र्स को. क्योंकि अगर आपने बना के रख लिया बैलेंस शीट अपने पास, तो इट इज़ ऑफ नो यूज़ अनलेस इट इज़ नॉट बीइंग कम्युनिकेटेड टू द एक्चुअल यूज़र्स ऑफ द accounting information. There are few branches of accounting that we have. So abhi, because of the time that we are taking up in this module is very long, so we'll just stick to 3 branches that we have: financial accounting, cost accounting, and management accounting. Financial accounting basically क्या होता है, it is that branch of accounting जिसमें सिर्फ आपकी financial transactions and events को summarize और interpret और communicate किया जाता है to the users of those financial information. एंड एंड प्रोडक्ट क्या होता है फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग की, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस फॉर द पीरियड एंडेड एंड बैलेंस शीट as on the last date of the accounting period. Then we have cost accounting. Like there is a saying, I heard one of my teachers told me this actually, कि there are two ways of increasing your income, कि या तो आपकी इनकम बढ़ रही हो या तो आपके खर्चे कम हो रहे हो. अगर आप अपनी रेवेन्यू नहीं बढ़ा पा रहे हैं तो अगर आप अपने कॉस्ट कम कर ले तो भी आप प्रॉफिट में आ सकते हो. यू कैन क्रिएट मोर प्रॉफिट बाय रिड्यूसिंग द कॉस्ट. तो कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग में बेसिकली हम यही पढ़ते हैं कि कैसे जो भी कॉस्ट है विच आर डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू अ प्रोडक्ट और सर्विस, उसको कैसे हम मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं, कैसे हम सबसे कम कर सकते हैं, जिससे कि हमारा प्रॉफिट इज एट अ ओवरऑल इंक्रीज. Last one which we have is management accounting. इसमें this is like it is said, it is a very recent branch that has been developed, and it is basically related to generating accounting information relating to cost, profit, funds, and enables the management in decision making. तो management accounting क्या है? Basically gathering of those data which are in reference or in need or help the management as such to creating information which is beneficial for the management in taking various actions based on the information that has been created. We might say that management accounting addresses the need of basically the management of the organization as to ये जो डेटा आपको प्रोवाइड होता है मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग में, कि इट हेल्प्स द मैनेजमेंट कि आपको क्या डिसीजन लेना है, इन किस एरिया में एंटर करना है, किस में प्रॉब्लम चल रही है, किस में लॉस मेकिंग डिपार्टमेंट है, उसको कैसे इम्प्रूव किया जाए. तो ये सब बेसिकली हम डिस्कस करते हैं मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग. तो फोकस ऑफ मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग इज बेसिकली on the management. So I guess that will be the end of it, and I hope that I have been able to provide you some meaningful insight in the area of accounting, and who are the users, what are the objectives, whether all the advantages have been listed to you, and also some of the disadvantages or limitations which can be worked on. अब जैसे recently the Ind AS have come into application, so कहीं ना कहीं जो accountant का bias था that is being reduced, that is being we are trying to create financial information which is error free or bias free. And of course accounting has many branches, and out of them only 3, because of the shortage of time I just discussed 3 of them with you, which were management accounting, cost accounting, and financial accounting. Of course when you take one entire branch to delve into that is a very time taking process, so I give you just a very slight overview just to acquaint you with what it actually means. Financial accounting में क्या होता है? All the financial characteristics and transactions are recorded. Cost accounting में क्या होता है? How to minimize the cost of the product, कि अगर हम revenue नहीं generate कर पा रहे या increase कर पा रहे, तो अगर हम cost को भी कम कर ले, minimize कर ले, तो हम एक profit generate कर सकते हैं. तो उसके तरीके उसमें बताए जाते हैं. And finally we have the management accounting, which is जो भी data आपके पास available है वो कैसे मैनेजमेंट को एड या हेल्प कर सकता है उसके वेरियस डाइवर्सिफिकेशन या उसके डिसीजंस को लेने में, उसमें हेल्प करता है. ओके, थैंक यू.